So we're excited to launch our initiative called the National Days of Teaching the Truth. And we are united to save our schools and other organizations that are coming together because we recognize what's happening in this country is an assault on teaching the truth. Teaching the truth is not divisive. Teaching the truth is so important, not just for teachers and students and families, but for this country to heal from its past transgressions and horrors and things that it did. And we're not afraid of the truth. We know that the truth brings power. And so we're really excited to imagine a whole month where we focus on teaching the truth. And that means, truth about banned books and why we want to celebrate these books and these diverse stories that might make us uncomfortable, but make us think about our history. It also means teaching the truth about racism and the history of enslavement in this country and how it is a big part of our founding history. And it's not something that we can pretend that didn't happen or not talk about because it makes people uncomfortable. It should make people uncomfortable. And that's how we grow and learn from that. We also want to talk about how do we protect our teachers in this time, in this era where elected officials are attacking teachers for teaching the truth. And not just about race, but also about gender and the spectrum of gender identities that is so important that we allow children to express and to affirm in our schools. So we invite you to join us May 1st through May 31st in our initiative to teach the truth. And you can do this in so many ways. We'll have a petition on our website that you can sign. You can sign up to host a teach-in on a banned book. You can read a banned book aloud and do a video of that. You can make a video talking about why teaching the truth is important. You can have a truth teach-in at your school board or at your elected official's office. There's so many things, but we are recognizing that the truth is power and it will set you free. And we want you to join us in our movement to celebrate teaching the truth.
One of the most disturbing things about American society today, in addition to the racial injustice, the political divisions, is this unwillingness to confront the truth about American history. Some people on the right suggest that it's unpatriotic to tell the truth about racism and slavery and genocide of Native Americans and sexism and all the other things that have happened in the course of our history that have to be confronted. I heard Brian Stevenson say that he went to Berlin, Germany, and the Holocaust Museum was something the German people were proud about, that he was encouraged to visit there. And he came back to Alabama, where he lives, and saw the contrast. There are monuments to Robert E. Lee and Confederate statues. And he said that how absurd would it be to find monuments to Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime in Germany? No, the people were rightfully horrified by that history. We in America need to do the same thing. We need to confront the history, not run from it. We would be a much better and stronger nation if we simply told the truth. This unwillingness to confront the truth, this attempt to ban books, to pass laws in state legislatures that ban the teaching of the truth is a very disturbing trend in American society. It needs to be challenged, it needs to be confronted, and we need to tell the truth.
So I think that it's really important for teachers and students to have an environment to speak their truth and their perspectives. And I think with the recent movement in banning books, that definitely hinders the ability for students and teachers to talk about truth and talk about critically these different books, these different authors, and these different topics. And I'm just holding a banned book that I believe is on that list. There's many lists, but a book, again, about the Black school experience and how Black students experience academia in different ways. And I think it's such an important book to have in a collegiate setting as well as a high school and elementary school setting. And so I just hope that people think that these books are still really important into making sure that all students have a really well-rounded understanding of the world and the people who are, occupying the world. So I think that, again, I really hope that this movement to ban certain books stops, because I think it's so imperative for everyone to have different perspectives regarding different authors and different forms of literature.
So the importance of talking about the truth in academic spaces. I noticed this year, and mostly like my last 2 years at Fordham, that just because everything has been so restricted and you can't openly talk about your experiences as a brown person on campus, I've noticed that I don't participate as much. I haven't learned as much. I haven't made as many friendships or just like any form of relationships, just because I've been so, it makes you feel like this imposter syndrome. It's really bad. But also, I think one thing I've also noticed is that when people don't talk about the truth, I guess I've noticed that other students, like white students, seem to like become more ignorant and offensive than they were before. So I had this one immigration class my last semester, and we had this professor ask, what are some things you think of when you hear the word Mexican or Mexican culture? And like the entire board was just filled up with words like tacos, tequila, crime, drugs. It was just like the most surface level or like stigmatized things associated with Hispanics. And like I've noticed that the professor was like totally okay with that. And I realized that most of like the Latinx students in the class were just so like terrified to express their personal experience because, oh, like, look, this is what they think of us, like, let me not share.
I think it's incredibly important to promote truth telling in the classroom, especially personal truths. I had an experience with a professor where they basically told me what my racial identity was without question. So I was unable to really tell my own truth about my own racial identity and my own cultural identity. So I definitely think that allowing students to really speak their own truths and being comfortable enough to do that in a safe environment in a classroom, I think that's incredibly important for our academic growth and personal growth as well.
So I'm really happy to be here in support of the Teaching Truth initiative. I am utterly outraged by the attacks on efforts to teach about the history of racism in the United States that are taking place in state after state. And ironically, this comes at a time when there is more and more new research coming out which expose the depth and complexity of white supremacy in American history. Now, calling the presentation of evidence about racism in U.S. history, calling this critical race theory is outrageous because there's a big difference between theory, which is trying to make information fit in a paradigm, and historical research, which is there to complicate a historical narrative. Anybody who is trying to remake American history so that nothing threatening and upsetting enters our classroom is doing a disservice to our children, doing a disservice to our country. Not only do we have to defend teaching truth at universities, we have to defend speaking truth, because sometimes teachers don't have all the information they need regarding the complexities of race, and their students need to correct the teachers. This is something that goes on in my own classes. And I want to make sure that the classroom is a place which is open to information that is challenging. We have to be honest, not only with the material that we know about, but we have to be open to our own students sharing their experiences, which may complicate what we present. The dealing with race in American history is a process. It's not a fixed series of predictable steps. So the striving for truth is much more important than the striving for safety.
The National Days of Teaching the Truth are in response to this right-wing move to kill diversity in our schools, in our classrooms, and our communities. And the funny thing about that is you can't kill diversity. It just is. But the idea that they want to ban it is why I'm here today. And at Central Connecticut State University, a group of faculty and their students on May 4th will be Read the Truth Day. And at our CCSU Literacy Center, we will be reading the truth. And we'll be reading picture books like, hey, I Need a New Butt, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, Charlotte's Web, the story of, I'm in New York, so the story of Shirley Chisholm, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It will be read here. So really when I'm thinking about the National Days of Teaching the Truth, it's not about CRT. It's about America. It's about the apple pie. It's about 400 years of taking Africans and bringing them to this nation in chains and that struggle to become free. It's about Latinos crossing our borders on the south side, coming in our ships and our planes. It's about immigrants. It's about Jews. It's about blacks. It's about whites. It's about Asians. It's about the world comes to America. And the power of this nation is no pretend story that the world did not come here or does not live here. The power and the strength of the America that I love is an America that embraces all who come, all who live here. You know, we are the world. That's what National Days of Teaching the Truth are all about.